Hello, and welcome to the Black Mirror Oracle. Today, when I was scrying in the Black Mirror, I saw so many images and I got so many messages. Actually, I had to kind of shut it down because I didn't want this to be too broad. But I feel very sincerely that this is for a group of very specific people. And I just want to say thank you for being in this sanctuary space with me. We're a new channel. I run it all by myself, and it means the world to me that you're here. So, when I opened the mirror earlier, what I saw was a silver apple and a golden apple, and I knew that these represented the sun and the moon. And it reminded me of this Donovan song, which is based on a Yeats poem called The Song of the Wandering Aengus. He says, the silver apples of the moon, the golden apples of the sun. Then I got like an image of crows kind of flying everywhere. They were frenetic, they were frantic. It was powerful. But then I saw white feathers falling. And the last message before I closed the mirror was that just a feeling. Like, I don't know if you've ever had an energy rise from your root chakra, but that's what it felt like. And I could feel it coming up, but then it kind of like stopped in my heart area. But then like I felt like it hadn't reached it yet, but it was about to burst open like a dam. And so the image of the apples before I get started on your oracle cards. And at the very end, we'll do a channeled reading as usual. I had this dream one time, and there was an apple tree, but the apples looked like snakes. But the snakes were like galactic looking. They almost looked like they had stars. They were black with stars and stuff. When you bit into them, it was still just a regular apple. Empowerment. Yeah, I feel like if whoever the specific people watching this today, this evening, that you either have had a really big awakening event in your life recently, or you're about ready to. A lot of times this is preceded by a lot of things cracking up in your life, a lot of things breaking apart, but it ultimately leads to empowerment. And when I get these images, especially the crows, frenetic, and then the white feathers, and then the silver apple and the golden apple, what I'm getting is a sense of like transcendent, like trying to balance, finally understanding that what yin yang really is. Like, there's the good or the light, and then there's the dark or the bad, which is all relative, of course. And the dot in each is the light and the dark and the light. And, you can't have one without the other. And in order to get to this next level, which will leave you extremely empowered, you have to learn to balance those two parts and not see the difficult things as something holding you back, but as a challenge. Rumi, the Sufi mystic, he said, the wound is where the light enters. Yeah, this wolf at this table, and there's a few sheep, but most of them are wolves in sheep's masks. And I think you're starting to feel like you are in disguise in the world, because one thing people don't really love to talk about is that the awakening process is not sitting under a tree with a big smile on your face and going om or whatever. That comes later. But the actual process of awakening is so painful. It's like growing out of a shell or shedding a snake skin or something. It is life destroying in some ways. And so you get to a point where there's a stage between empowerment and where you are now, where you're still having to go out in the world and wear the mask of who you were, and it just is not fitting anymore, and it's just so obvious that that's not who you are now, right? I don't know how these sheep are falling for it, those wolves. Yeah. You thought that the awakening process, I guess you've heard that it's difficult, but you thought it was going to be more like, I think you depended a lot on studying, and you didn't realize that the actual process, when it happens spontaneously, which is how it usually happens, you study, 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 or you meditate, 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 and then, you know, it might come on gradually, or you might have a very dramatic moment that you thought you were in a deep level of understanding. And you were, and you are. But there comes a time when you realize that all the things that you learned and understood are just a drop in the ocean of true reality. And in a culture where we have to wear so many masks, it becomes so painful when you're transitioning from, I guess people say like 3D reality to 4D or 4D to 5D, whatever. I'm not sure basically when you're transitioning from the old way of thinking to the new way of thinking. Well, wishes come true. This is one of those things, be careful what you wish for, right? I know that my whole life, not that I wished for awakening, but I just always had this drive in me for it, right? And then when it comes to you, it isn't what you think it is. But the empowerment, as I said, the balance that comes afterwards is so profound. It's so much better than you think it will be. And it's so hard to let go of the old illusions. But when you do, you dive headfirst into a whole new world of mystery and mastery, right? And to me, that represents like when you can tap into the source. It's this flow of unending love, and you learn not to grasp onto things because you just hold your hands and you let it run through, because you don't have to grasp, because that source is unending. It's never going to end. And so there's no need for you to grasp onto it. But if you're here and this is resonating for you, just remember that even though it's probably really hard right now, you're so close. I mean, with this well card, lobster financial pinch. Okay. The thing that people don't like to talk about during the awakening process is that a lot of times you're no longer compatible with the way the real world works. And I think it was Krishnamurti who said something like, it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And so when you awaken and you are seeing reality, you're seeing a clear mirror. What's going on out there makes no sense to you. And coming back to the shadow card, if it makes no sense to you, it feels like anathema to your soul to have to go and put this mask on and just day in, day out. And so a lot of times what happens during this process is people lose their jobs, or they have huge life shakeups, and they just can't handle things the way that they used to be, because the way that they used to be is not compatible with your new vibration. And the time between that and settling into understanding that you will get the intuitive insight to go in the direction you're meant to go is one of the most painful places. And remember, I'm not saying, oh, I'm awakened. Remember, awakening happens on levels, and there's never an end to it. So It's not something you get to. It's a journey you find yourself on. Wreath, sorrow over a loss. It is so hard to let go of the life that you thought you wanted, of the dreams you thought you wanted. And when you set out purposefully or not on this spiritual journey, oh, it's this card, you didn't know that the darkness of it, the crows everywhere, was going to be so frenetic, and that it was going to be so, it was going to cause your entire life to become upheaved, or whatever the word, like there's so much upheaval in your life. But with the gentle white feathers falling afterwards, I get a sense of that you're starting to understand that on the other side of that loss is a peace that you never knew you could have. And an understanding that the illusions you were living under, that was the lie. And that you're not really losing anything besides a lie. And it's so painful, not just because of the loss of maybe relationship, dreams, different things that were really important to you, but the feeling of grief, of losing who you thought you were, but also the feeling of grief about the time that you feel like you lost. But I want to say, remember, none of it is lost time, because that was the time you needed to go on this journey. We rise to the level of our own pain. And if we are not, how do I say this? If it doesn't hurt enough, then we're not going to pay attention to change it. Because, like, I mean, if my knee doesn't hurt, why would I go to the doctor to get my knee looked at? But if my knee starts hurting pretty bad, there's a tipping point, right, where I'm going to go get help for it. And it's the same thing with your spiritual journey. There's a tipping point, and you're tired of feeling powerless, and you feel deep in you that you are able to go, that your awakening is going to allow you to go with the flow. There's a lot of water in that empowerment card. And because true power is not control, true power is flow. And that makes sense now about the image of like the flowing energy from the root getting stuck there in the heart for you. Oh my goodness. I let go of what does not serve me with ease. You know what's so funny about this? This is the same affirmation we got last week. So there's only been 2 episodes. This is the second episode of Black Mirror Oracle, and you got the exact same affirmation card out of this giant stack twice. So I think that means you need to pay extra close attention to that. I'm going to pull another one of these. The golden moment. Okay. Yeah, you're getting, I feel like I said, this is super specific, but that the people who landed here are the kind of people who had one of the dramatic awakening moments, whether it was a download or one of those spontaneous awakenings that just like wrecks your life. Look at that. We have so much mask energy. And with this card too, I feel like it's not just about like the masks that we wear outwardly, but it's about the masks that we wear inwardly. But also I get the feeling like of like flipping around and you're like, why am I so moody? But it's not really moody. It's just like you had so many emotions repressed for so long. And there's this thing where they say like you run a sleep deficit, right? So like if you say sleep, you need 8 hours of sleep, and for a year you only sleep 7 hours a night, then you're 365 hours short, and you have to recover that sleep deficit in order to feel better. Like you have to sleep 365 extra hours before you're going to feel better. I believe that we also run an emotional deficit like that. So when we're young and people start teaching us really early that how and why that we should be repressing our emotions, it doesn't just magically go away. It sits there. And during these sort of awakening processes, jumping cards, what jumped? 5 of Cups. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. So during the awakening process, we're flipping emotions over and over again because we're running quickly through giant chunks or blocks of repressed emotion from our entire lives. And that's what I feel like for you. I just feel like because we're not taught these things, we aren't given the kind of spiritual guidance in our lives usually that helps us be in touch with these. We're given like very repressed ideas often. When this hits us like a lightning bolt, we literally have no idea how to handle it. I feel like 2 more cards. And actually, we're going to pull this one too. Just feeling it. Queen of Pentacles. All right. I'm going to show you your tarot cards and then I'm going to channel your message for you. But, beloved, I really feel like even though this is a very chaotic, scary time, that you know in your soul that there is a light coming towards you and it's getting close. So even though you're in that kind of frenetic, dark side of the yin yang, crows, silver apple moon energy, soon, you can see that speck of light of how you're going to emerge from it. And when you do, you'll understand that you don't have to fear when you get stuck in those dark parts, that the dark night of the soul is an important part of the process of wiggling out of the constraints that you were put in your life. The Star. And you got, as I said earlier, this one popped out. We're going to give it extra attention. The 5 of Cups. Yeah, disappointment. It's not what you thought it was going to be. The Tower. Yep. There's so much energy here of like, boom, it happening like, so if it hasn't happened yet, prepare. If there's really no way to prepare, but still. Judgment. I have to look at these first because some of them are a little risque. Ace of Swords. Sitting on top of let go of what does not serve me with ease. A message that I'm reiterating because 2 weeks in a row. 5 of Wands. Yeah, you got a lot of 5 energy here. So a lot of heaviness, a lot of constraint. 7 of Cups. I was actually going to use a different tarot deck, but the crow image wouldn't stop in the mirror until I pulled this crow deck out. So I'm just assuming that it's called the Murder of Crows Tarot, that it is the deck that is for this reading. So I will honor that. The High Priestess. I see this transformation from the Tower to the High Priestess energy. 10 of Pentacles. Yeah, abundance is coming, but it's not what you think. It's not what you thought it was going to be, which is fine, right? 6 of Pentacles. Yeah, there's a lot of pentacles in here. A lot of, and with that comes, a lot of understanding that the stuff in your material life and the material world is going to be shifting very big. So let's get your channeling started. Give me one moment. Beloved, I can feel the weight of the emotions in you, and whether this weight has already triggered a lightning bolt, dam breaking moment in your heart of transformation, or whether that balance has not been reached yet. It's coming soon. And when it does, you're going to feel so much like everything that you put together, everything you believed in, everything you invested your time in. It's going to feel meaningless. It's going to feel like a waste. And that's going to be a really hard thing to understand. But, dearest traveler, when you asked, whether directly or indirectly, to wake up, the universe listened. Whether that was 20 years ago or 5 months ago, the universe listened. In a desperate moment, you knew in your soul that something was off balance and that you needed a new start. You needed to cut through the illusions that you've been living in. And it's so powerful because we have such a heavy weight, but then we have the justice card. I'm sorry, the temperance card. I said justice, it's temperance. Once again, balancing the temperance card. And as soon as you're able to balance and temper these two conflicting ideas of being able to live in this world and function and be this elevated, high frequency spirit at the same time, you're going to really step into your Queen of Pentacles energy. Mastery, not just of your spiritual self with the High Priestess energy, but also the Queen of Pentacles energy, meaning you're going to be able to find a way to exist in this world while still staying at your high vibration. It doesn't seem possible right now. But when you're able to let go and let it flow, let that energy flow through your hands, knowing that you will be taken care of, then you step into this 10 of Pentacles, 6 of Pentacles abundance energy. And did you ever notice that there are people out there who they have such light hearts and they have such light minds and they never hold on to things. And as they flow through life, it seems like life just pours abundance to them. They always have enough. They don't ask for more than they need, but they always have enough. And when you're on a spiritual journey this deep, when you're called to this level of awakening, that is also something that is in the cards for you. So as you move forward and maybe things aren't fitting, dear beloved, just remember there's something going on in the background that you might not quite understand. And your task is not to seek for love, but to find the barriers within yourself that is blocking that flow. And that's why I'm feeling you have such a strong energy coming up from your root and it's getting clogged in that heart because that's where you want to grasp. That's where you want to hold it. But beloved, that love is unending and it's always there and it's always available. And I promise we live in a world of false scarcity. So we think we're going to run out of love, but that love never runs out. Now, moving forward, just know that as you move through this dark night, that you're going to wake up on the other side, not just wiser, but more playful, more yourself than you've ever been. By the way, that was a Rumi quote earlier. I forgot to mention. I'm not taking credit for his stuff about your heart. So move forward with grace. Don't hold on too tight. And abundance comes your way, whether that's spiritual or physical, when you learn to let go and let the love flow through you and find the balance between your emotions and your mind and overthinking, and finding the balance between the physical world and the world we have to live in here and your ascended spaces, your ascended parts that are either already there or very close to scratching their way out. A lot of times, very violently inside, very tumultuously. Reach out for help when you need it. It is not an easy process. And last but not least, with the star card here, beloved, the Tower has you so scared that this is it, that you're going to be stuck in this energy permanently. But remember, the Star is right after the Tower. And the Star is a gentle, enlightened energy, not the glare of the bright sun, not the reflection of the moon, but just the gentle, steady starlight. And beloved, that's where your soul is going to thrive, and that's where you're going to walk with ease. So hold tight. You're almost there, and you're not alone. Thank you for being part of this community. And please share with us anything that you feel compelled to share. And I'll see you next week, beloved.